Welcome to TNT Sports Network, where it's all sports all the time. I'm Tom, and he's Tom, and thanks for joining us today.
Hey guys, we got something brand new for you here on the channel. As you can see, we are together, but not together. This is the third thing we've had. We've had together and together. We've had me alone, and now we have together but alone, but separate. Tom is in our local studio. I'm in an undisclosed location, and we have a special one for you. We teamed up with our friends at the podcast No One Asked For. Link is in the bio, and we joined them for a little Serie A prediction show. Me, Tom, and our guys Jordan, Paulie, and Kyle from the podcast No One Asked For, and we went in and we just previewed the Serie A show. Tom, Paulie, and Kyle asked us, me and Jordan, some questions, and we kind of just gave them some background on the league, what we know, what we root for, and it was a really fun video to film. I don't know about Tom, but I had a blast filming it.
It was fun.
Yeah, it'll be
obviously,
go ahead.
Not the biggest soccer fan here, but like it was kind of fun to see Tom and Jordan kind of talking and everything like that, and it was great. So
yeah, it's going to definitely be the longest video on our channel. So bear with us, but I think it'll definitely be worth it. Yeah, so like I said, this was already pre-recorded, so we're recording the intro now. So let us know in the comment section below who, if you're a Serie A fan, who you have winning the league, winning the Scudetto. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.
So we're going to talk about Serie A, the Italian league, who these guys won it last year. Inter Milan won it last year. They won it with 4 games remaining. Their first league title in 11 years. It's been hell, and I can say this as an Inter fan. It's been hell throughout the years, dealing with Juventus winning it year after year after year. It's like watching. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the Jets and the Patriots. It's like watching the Patriots win it year after year. It's like it's just sickening, and it's nobody's even close to like beating them. I mean, Tom, obviously Napoli had like a few years where they were close with Juventus, but it was like everybody would always come up short. And it was just because Juve was just that much better.
Yeah, we had our main shot in 2018, and we didn't pull it off, and it depressed me for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
so it does. This day.
Yeah, he said it's still affecting you to this day.
Yeah, it's still affecting me to this day. Absolutely.
I thought I like got stuck in a time loop or warp, and my voice was just gone. I was just like, hello.
But yeah, I'm excited for this season because I feel like this is the most open the league has been in a long time, and part of that is because Inter decided after winning their league, they were just going to sell their best player to Chelsea and their other best player to PSG because they're broke. They're broke. So
you could say they want
a
Scudetto. Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Jesus. And that's the end of the show, guys. Have a good night. I'll see you later. No. Their coach ended up leaving as well because he was like, "Hey, you guys are selling my best players. Why the hell do I want to be here?" So one of the best Italian coaches in the league and arguably in the world leaves, and now they're in a rut. They hire a new coach, Simone Inzaghi from Lazio, who everybody says great young. I use young because he's like in his mid-50s, so he's a young coach who's got similar tactics to the way Antonio Conte, the old coach, played. But Inter did go out there and they have made some signings to kind of make up for losing Romelu Lukaku and Hakimi, which let's be real here, you can't replace a Lukaku, you can't replace a Hakimi without spending tons of money. But they did a good job filling in the voids. They got Edin Dzeko from Roma on a free transfer, and then they just signed Denzel Dumfries to kind of take Hakimi's spot, which 25-year-old played great at the Euros. So it's going to be it's going to be a competitive team. I think you still have, Barella in the midfield there. It's kind of leading the charge. You lose Christian Eriksen because of his heart, issue that he had at the Euros as well. So he's probably not going to play the entire year. You still have a competitive team there, but they're not as strong as just realistically without Lukaku. They're just not as strong as they were unless they bring somebody in who's going to take that spot. But it's going to be very, very hard. So you have the top teams there like Milan who have gotten better. Juventus is Juventus. You have obviously Napoli. Roma brings in one of the best coaches in the world in Jose Mourinho. Max Allegri comes back to Juventus, who was a part of many of those Scudettos and, that run for Juventus. So you have a lot of teams, even Napoli bringing Luciano Spalletti in to be the coach. I was going to say,
you forgetting about the bald god himself?
I was always a fan of Spalletti when, he was the coach, but he could never, he's the one that got Inter back in the Champions League, but he could never, it seemed, get them over the hump, which is why I was surprised. Like I liked Gattuso, obviously, an old Italian player who, many Italy fans loved. So I was a little surprised that he left. But, Spalletti's always been a guy who's always done well when he was at Roma, when he was at Inter. So, it's going to be interesting to see with Napoli, how he does. Because, Napoli hasn't, unless I'm wrong, Tom, I'm doing some research. They haven't made any big signings yet, have they?
By big signings, I think you mean like 0 signings. And exactly. We have a glaring hole at left back. We need another center back, and we need a central defensive midfielder. No, we have made nothing, and it's because we don't really have the funds at the moment. ADL's trying to bring in, Emerson, and he's trying to bring in all these different guys, but he's like, oh, I need to sell players first, and the new name on the block is Adamunis, who they're trying to sell somewhere to make funds to bring in a left back. But yeah, the lack of fans really, really hurt the Italian team last year with having money to spend in the transfer market.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit, but yeah, if you look at most of the big Italian, Juventus really hasn't made any moves either. They're obviously close to signing Locatelli from Sassuolo, who was fantastic at the Euros, as everybody saw, 23 years old, but that's still not done yet. Even Inter, the biggest one that they paid $12 million for Dumfries, PSV, but Dzeko was a free transfer. It's not really free, but you know what I mean. Jalanalu from Milan was also a free transfer. They're not spending money. None of these teams are, because they were hit so hard by the pandemic that a lot of these teams just can't afford to buy big names. But you're seeing teams in England and everything spending all this big money. So to me it's a bad look. I mean, Milan loses Donnarumma for nothing, 22-year-old goalie, to PSG, and that guy's worth 70, 80 million, maybe even more. It's just a bad look for the league. I know we're trying to promote the league to Paulie and Kyle and 7% Tom here.
I don't know. There's all these teams seem broke. I'm not interested now.
Smells like broken here.
If you're looking for non-broke teams, go to the Premier League or PSG.
Yeah, pretty much. Even Barcelona, it's just but with Serie, it's a bad look. It is, but that's what makes it. I don't want to say what makes it great, but that's what makes it interesting this year. Is you have all these teams that are just kind of all on the same level as far as competition wise. So it's going to be who can take charge and who can, take the league by the horns, if you want to call it that, and who can, run and, win the league this year. Because I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite at all.
No, I agree with you. And Jordan, we will get into a fist fight. I promise you that. If you guys take my captain from me, I will come to Pennsylvania or wherever you are, and I will do some damage to you.
So what Tom is talking about is this man right here, and that's Lorenzo Insigne. Taking the captain from the team. So there's been talks, contract extension on the table, but it doesn't look like Insigne wants to be there. Maybe he's just using Inter as leverage to get a bigger deal.
No. No, Insigne
No?
is a born and bred Napolitan, and he wants to be there. Okay, his contract is up after next year, and we want to wait till next year to negotiate with him, and he wants it to be done this year.
So basically, what Inter's trying to do is throw some money at them, and maybe a player or something like that to try and steal him from Napoli, which would be, I mean, that's big. Like, I can't like describe like the magnitude of taking somebody's captain from their team. Like, it's a huge deal. So it would be a huge get for Inter because you have a guy that's kind of like right on the brink, like I would say in his prime, maybe a little bit past his prime, who would be a great forward, a perfect addition to the team, would step in for Lukaku in there, play great with Lautaro Martinez and even Dzeko coming off the bench and everything. So that would be a perfect fit for Inter. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to get my hopes up, even though there were like reports that, he's pushing for a move to Inter. I've heard this stuff before. I'm not going to bite into it. There are other players that entered into Joaquin Correa from Lazio and Duvan Zapata from Atalanta, who I think, is basically the Colombian version of Lukaku, but a little bit older. So I don't think Insigne's. I think it's in the end. I think Insigne stays because I think he, like you said, he's born bred Napolitano. But if it happens, man, that's
Jordan. You want him? We do a jersey swap. You get the guy on this jersey. I get the guy on your jersey. Who says no?
Fine. I mean, there's nobody on the back of my jersey, but
it's a deal. Barella jersey, because then we'll take Barella from you for Insigne.
Absolutely not. That would never ever happen.
That was perfectly set up because I knew that Jordan ordered that with no name on back. So as soon as he said it, I was waiting for him to respond.
I don't get jerseys with the last one I did, and you'll get this 100% Tom, was Mario Icardi. And literally the year after, he decided to like basically, blackball himself from the team, and he's now at PSG now. And I have a jersey sitting in the back of my closet that's never going to get. Like, I wore maybe twice.
Honestly, that jersey probably won you the Scudetto, though. So,
Yeah, it did. It honestly did. So, I have no ill will towards Icardi, but that's a whole other topic that we won't get into. 100% Tom. Let's get everybody else involved because I'm sure they're tired of hearing us talk.
No, just you.
Fellas. Thanks, Kyle. It took me a second to figure out what you just said there.
Yeah, you like trying to talk it over. I was like, damn, that hurt him deep. Just trying to push through the pain right now.
Fellas, the season does start next week. This is the table. You have 20 teams there.
A
lot of competition, a lot of new teams, a lot of names that you three probably have never seen before. Actually, you probably haven't seen like a majority of these names.
I have. I mean, like maybe 5 or 6 of them. Without,
okay, that's fair.
I've heard of.
Now,
I've heard of
I may butcher some of them though. Like, so if I do say I'm wrong, don't hesitate to correct me.
Also, guys, the first one is Atalanta, not Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, yeah.
What about Bologna?
Bologna.
No, that's not how we say it in the States. That's not how we say it here. Okay.
I'll tell you what, though.
Oscar Mayer's been lying to me, okay? I need to know what it is. Is it Bologna or Bologna?
3 of you, obviously you guys are new to, watching soccer and all that stuff. So 7% Tom, we have heard 0 from you. Kick it off. What questions do you have for us, for 100% Tom and myself, about the league? What do you want to know? What do you need to know so we can get you to watch?
Oh, well, I mean, Tom and I mainly Tom made a couple questions so that everyone else can answer. So we kind of get the insight of someone that is watching it and then someone that is new to it. So I'm kind of in the new, and then obviously Jordan and Tom are in. So one of the biggest questions, because everyone loves kits. Kits. Everyone talks about it. You have one on your back all the time. Which is the one that won the best design for this upcoming year?
Do you want to answer this? I mean, I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to take Inter out, even though I think Inters are some of the best. I have mine. You tell me yours.
So, first of all, your Inter blue sparkly kit so much better than the one you're wearing. Second of all,
but it's like snakeskin. That's what it is. The blue one is snakeskin.
Oh wait, I don't want to.
It's not better than this one. No,
It
it's
is
not
better
better.
than
This
that
one
one.
has
It's 100%
the
better
snake.
than that
No,
one.
it's not. It's got the snake right here. I like wearing the white jerseys because I had the white one from last year as well.
Right.
I had the pattern and everything. Those are the white ones are always my favorite. The away ones are always my favorite. But I like the blue one too.
Look,
It
when I
grew
look
on
at
me.
that, when I look at that jersey, I think you guys are so broke that you're asking me to cash app your team because it's $sign.
Wow. Damn.
What about that? Hey, Jordan, just let him know that Inter's going to cash app his team for his captain.
That's
Oh.
wow.
Wow. This
Paulie's
is
throwing
hostile.
shade.
Wow. All right, I'm taking this
Tom.
back to the original question, and Venezia has the best jerseys, the best kits, new kits of this season. They are pristine.
Those are beautiful.
Those are nice.
And
yes.
look what's in the corner.
The two ladies.
Yeah.
The
I
two
don't know why I
ladies.
said. I don't know why I said boobs. I'm the lost, guys. I need.
Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even see that one.
It just screams the city of
wow.
Venice. It screams like merchant
Yeah.
wealth and like
Yeah.
It almost feels like
just
the South.
fashion.
I
Yeah.
feel like my
Yeah.
net
Yeah,
worth
I
goes
really
up
like
if I wear
that. Like a
that.
lot.
My
Like a
net worth would
lot.
probably increase by like 400,000 if I wore that.
I agree. You gotta pop your chain out too. You just
I
gotta
will just
Whoa.
magically have a chain out of nowhere. I was like, where
Yes.
did this chain come from? I just put this jersey
They
on.
even
Now I
have the women's the women's jerseys. I didn't even get the picture of that. I should have. They're absolutely incredible. Like you could
Do the
wear them
women's
like out to a
jerseys-
nice restaurant.
Do the
Yeah,
women's
they're
jerseys have two
gorgeous.
men back to back on them?
No. Yeah, I mean, you kind of took mine, but it's all right. Screw it. I'm gonna say Inters. Inters are.
Oh, come on.
I mean, this is just gorgeous, yo. Come on,
Look at that. Oh,
that's just fantastic. The
I
snake
can't get
and
past
everything.
The Cash App symbol there. I cannot get past that.
I'm telling you, it's like we're poor. Please send us money.
Cash App enter.
Cash
Do
App
you-
enter.
It's like it feels like some kid was sitting there and they were like, "Oh wow, I love snakes, and let's just put this on a jersey."
That's their
bam.
that's their mascot, if you want to call it, I guess.
And
But
then
even
the child's dad's like, "But son, we're really poor. Can you please put my Cash App on the
oh,
Sunday?"
look at
Hey.
those.
So
look at
the
the
pig skin is pretty dope.
Jordan, I feel like I'm giving away my pick because of the way I keep reacting.
Listen, hey Paulie, why don't you do me a favor, or Tom or Kyle, ask 100% Tom that you see that little Italian, the Italian flag symbol right there. Ask him what that's for.
Hey,
Ask
Tom,
100%
what
Tom.
is that for?
It's a little shield.
Yeah, what does the shield
Wow.
What does
represent?
that shield represent?
Represents being the champions of Italy.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Oh man.
Wow. Well, that's a cool little touch.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I
There's
like
also
it
a little
lot.
Champions League patch that they get when you qualify for Champions League, which some teams do and some teams don't. Some teams have to sit in the Europa League with all the it's like
You
When
know the
you're-
Europa League well recently, though. So
I do, but we're at the big boy table now. Go
yes,
up and step up to the big boy table. You guys are at the kids table.
So we are going to be able to beat PSV this time instead of you guys.
Okay, yeah, we'll see.
Wait a
So
minute.
yeah,
I just found out Inter is International. Wow. that was-
Internazionale.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
who is this? I was looking at the table. I was like, who is this long ass, ugly ass name
Oh
on the
my
table
God.
for no reason?
Wow.
And now I find out it's actually Inter. Okay, I was like, that's no wonder why they shortened it. That's terrible. That's who thought of that.
What's wrong with it?
Well, it looks disgusting, like international in Italian.
Well,
Like,
if you
come on.
know the history
How
of
is
the
it that-
team, Kyle, they had to separate themselves from a parent club years ago. And when they did so, they became Inter Milan.
Yeah, but they do
Thank
is
you,
travel
Paulie.
through Italy,
You're
don't
welcome.
they?
You're
so how are
welcome,
they
Jordan.
international?
No.
Because they're
Well, first of
international.
all, that's not true. Second of all, it's Internazionale. Most of their players are like from South America.
Yeah.
First of all, South America. There's they have a few. Actually, nowadays they have a little more Italians in there, but a lot of them were from like Argentina, Brazil, Chile, like all these like South American countries. So that's why I came Internazionale, because they were coming from all over the place.
Oh,
Yeah,
See, now that feels better.
Out of all the top teams in the country, Inter definitely has the biggest international flair to their team success.
All right. Well,
Yes.
now I feel like an idiot, guys. So let's just.
Yeah, that's why we're here to educate you.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
There's another jersey that I don't want to say I liked, but I didn't hate it. And
Go ahead,
it's
please.
like
Is it the one that Cristiano Ronaldo was just modeling off? That's absolutely disgusting.
No.
No, that jersey's so bad.
Oh yeah.
I don't hate it.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I don't hate it.
What are you talking about?
I don't like the thing under the Jeep,
Why does Ronaldo?
but I
not
don't
look
hate
like
the colors and
Ronaldo?
everything.
Why does
Now-
Ronaldo not even look like Ronaldo in that photo?
He really doesn't. You're right.
Oh, it's definitely Photoshop, Kyle.
So here's
Yeah.
the thing. I when I was picking teams, I was like, well, I know Ronaldo, and I looked at their jerseys, and I was like, well, I'm obsessed with my Jeep, and that kind of almost swayed me, but it didn't pull me all the way in. I will say that.
Nice.
7% Tom might pick Juventus just because he also has a Jeep.
No.
But that's going away, Tom. You know the story. You know the
That's
story.
true. That's true.
So obviously you're going to cash app the captain over to Inter Milan.
Wow.
That's not happening. But what's probably the biggest move that happened during this transfer period? Who do you think won and who do you think failed during this time?
So we kind of talked about it a little bit before. These teams, especially in Italy, really didn't make a lot of big moves. Juventus really hasn't made a move. Like, and honestly, if the move went through already, it would be Locatelli going to Juventus, but he hasn't gone there. That deal's not done yet. I mean, you had, like I said before, Dzeko going to Inter, replacing Lukaku. But is that a big move? No, he's 37. He's gonna come off the bench most likely when they get another striker. Dumfries coming over from PSV to replace. I mean, that's what else do you have there?
Tammy Abrams going to Roma.
Yeah, Abraham going to Roma, I guess, is considered a big move now. But the biggest move so far, I mean, would you say it's Gianluca going from Milan to Inter?
Yeah.
That again, it's a big move, but they didn't spend any money on him. Well, they didn't pay AC Milan for him. So yeah, but I mean, I guess if you want to say it's Gianluca going to AC Milan. You also had Olivier Giroud go to AC Milan, which was another. I don't want to say it's a big move because Giroud's what 34, 35 now.
Just doing a quick Twitter search, AC Milan fans are now convinced that Giroud is going to be the top goal scorer in Serie A this year.
Yeah, I know they do that. They do that every year. Everybody's better than Lukaku. Everybody's better than Lautaro Martinez. I've been hearing it for years now. They drive me up a wall. They're one of the dumbest fan bases ever. I tell you what, AC Milan did make a big move, getting Mike. How do you say? Do you know his
I
name?
also was wondering the same. Magnin.
Yeah. But he's a great young goalie from Lille in France. So, but again,
they also lost a great young goalie.
Right. Exactly.
All-time great young goalie, some would say.
For nothing. So I'll tell you what I think is one of the most underrated moves, and I think it's going to be one of the best moves, is Atalanta, who does everything right, no matter what. One of the best, most underrated teams in the world, getting Mary Demiral from Juventus.
Yep.
So this is how I know a team is run well. And Paulie and Kyle and Tommy, you should pay attention to this stuff because this stuff is really important.
I'm taking notes.
Atalanta bought a guy from Juventus for 15 million euros, which is not a lot of money. He was a decent player, whatever. Played with them for 2 years, turned around and sold him for around 70 million euros to Tottenham. This is a guy that netted them almost 50-something million euros that they get now pocket, and now they get to turn around and go to Juventus and get a 23-year-old center back from Juventus who's on loan, so he plays for them, but he's still technically a Juventus player. It's a loan with an option to buy. So in the future, if he plays well there, they can buy him, and then they can probably in 2 years.
I sit here and we've talked about this before. I mean, and not to cut you off, but like if other sports did this with players, it blows my mind. Like just the transfer windows and the buying and it's crazy. But the players are basically like stocks. You buy them, and then they're up, and then you let them go, and you can get a player in return, or you get that money, which then goes right to the team. It's fascinating. It really is.
And especially, it's very popular in Italy now. They do loans, like a loan. So you loan a player with an option or an obligation to buy. So basically, you pay you pay €1.5 million to loan a player to get a player on loan, but then you have to pay them $30 million next year for that player, or you have an option to buy them and you can negotiate whatever and you go from there. But that's what it's very popular now in a lot of other leagues, like in England and Spain and whatever. They're not huge fans of it, but Italy, they've made it kind of a priority now because, first of all, the teams just don't have a lot of money, or don't have a lot of money, quotations, because they do, but they're not as much as like
going on.
Right, exactly. So a lot of these teams lost a lot of money, but a team like PSG doesn't need to do that. They don't need to.
What I've noticed is like obviously this transfer window that's just happening is like before the seasons are starting. Are there other ones during the season, or is it you do your moves at the beginning of the season, that's it, or how does that go?
So you have the summer window now that's going on, and it goes on till Tom. When does each league has different time periods of when they're end? It's all around the same date. Serie ends when?
Serie, I believe, is now in lockstep with Spain, Germany, and France, and I think it all ends on the 31st.
31st. Okay, so midnight on the 31st, midnight of the 31st, or however, September 1st, whatever you want to call it, it's done. Then there's another one just in January. There's another transfer window for that. A lot of that is like, you don't see a lot of huge moves happen. I don't want to say it's like a trade deadline because you see a lot of big moves.
Less than a trade deadline because you're not going to see the big moves in season from team to team like you would at a trade deadline.
You'd have to blow a team away in order for it to be like a huge move. A lot of it is it's a lot of loans and stuff like that you deal with. So getting back to Tom's original question, it's hard, but I guess by default it would be Ronaldo, but I wouldn't be surprised if after this is all over, Demiral was the best one, and even Dumfries, because Dumfries is just like Hakimi, he's just a little bit older. And he's not as good of a crosser in the air as Hakimi was. But if I had to pick, I'll take Demiral so I'm not biased. Tom, let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah, so just to hammer home Jordan's point about Atalanta being so well run, it's so rare because I think you can count on like one hand the amount of teams in Serie A that are well run.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Atalanta is one of them, and I'd say Sassuolo is one of them, and then there's just a bunch of random teams.
And
but to get back, go ahead.
Not to cut you off, Tom, but like just to kind of explain it to these guys, when we say well run, we don't mean that they're out there winning Scudetto. They're not winning championships. But what they do is they do such good business where they're well run
businessly.
Yeah. So they have great scouting departments and they develop players very well, so they can turn around and sell these guys who at 22, 23 years old for 50 million, 60 million euros to the bigger club. So they're essentially what you call feeder clubs.
Feeder, yes.
Atalanta, they're okay, and they're okay with operating like that and not winning.
Atalanta is a kind of separate from these feeder clubs because they've gotten so much better because they scout talent so well that they've become one of the bigger teams because they're in the Champions League. And you understand when they qualify for the Champions League, you get money when you qualify for the Champions League. And then if in the group stage of the Champions League, you make more money if you advance and so on and so forth. So they've made a lot of money by doing all this stuff. So they're still scouting really well, and they're still selling players as they did with Christian Romero, where they sold to Tottenham for triple, essentially almost quadruple what his original worth was. He was worth 15 million at one point. They turned around and sold him for 70 million. So that's how these clubs operate. Now, Sassuolo, as 100% Tom mentioned, is more of a smaller club where they'll find young kids like 18, 19, 20 years old, develop them till they're 21, 22, and then they'll sell them to bigger clubs, Inter, AC Milan, Juventus, other big teams in Europe, and they'll turn around and make a profit off that. So that's what they do. And they're not okay with it. They obviously want to win, but they know that, hey, they know going into each year, you're not going to beat Juventus, Milan, Napoli, Roma. You're not going to beat the bigger clubs because it's just you can't outspend them. These guys can go out and spend more money than they can, essentially. So that's essentially what their I don't want to say what their job is, but that's essentially what there is. They're good business teams.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
To pick off where Jordan said about Sassuolo, if anyone out there has time, go read the article, the story about how Sassuolo found Domenico Berardi. It is insane. Like he gave up playing football. He was 18 years old. They found him playing an intramural game, and they brought him into the youth system, and now he's become one of the top goal scorers in Serie A. So some of those small clubs, those feeder clubs, really do such a good job of kind of turning such a profit. And some of these teams have become really successful doing this model. Atalanta is annoyingly successful for a team that basically just kind of flips players.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of these guys no. Serie A, no, they've never won Serie A.
So it's a good business, but they're not a good team in a way.
Well,
so they can win, but they won't win at all.
Unlike other sports, this is where it's weird. Winning the Scudetto is not the end-all be-all
priority.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's more. So it's winning the Scudetto, making Champions League, turning a profit.
What qualifies you for the Champions League?
Top 4 in the league.
Top four.
You have to finish top 4.
So finish top 4, you get in the Champions League, and that's what you're playing for.
Right. So this year, the Champions League teams from Italy are going to be Juventus, Inter, AC, and Atalanta.
Yeah. And basically with these other teams, obviously they want to go out there and win. That's the objective. And the objective also is for the smaller clubs is to not get relegated to the second division, which is Serie B. So that's the other objective. Is you want to stay in Serie A because you get money each year that you stay in Serie A, which obviously helped you out, and you want to be in the best league. You want to be in the best league because hey, if you're in Serie A and you're a smaller team, and even you have to think about the players and stuff like that, you're playing against Inter, AC, Juventus. These guys, the ownership, the scouts, all of them are watching these games. They might want to buy, they want to buy it. You want to show out. You want to play against the bigger team, so you want to show out because all these smaller teams give it their all against the bigger clubs because they want to try and, I guess impress these bigger clubs. So hey, maybe they can make a move and maybe they can go higher because you don't want to stay at a smaller club for your entire career. You want to go further. You want to go to, the giant clubs, PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid. You want to go to those teams, and then that's why you want to stay up in Serie A. So their objective mainly is to stay in Serie A, but to also make business deals, if that's what you want to call it, by selling these players. But realistically, you had in England, you had the 1 year where Leicester City won it all. That is one of the rarest things you'll ever see in soccer.
Maybe the rarest thing you'll ever see.
I remember everybody going nuts about that.
It's arguably how this who was it, the 16 seed UMBC beat Virginia. It's that times 100,000.
Yeah,
you got to think about it. Leicester City beat Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea. All these big teams that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're worth nothing. They were worth nothing. I think they got bought by somebody else now, so that they're worth more money now. But that's how crazy it was.
Yes.
This happening. What would you say is the biggest one in Serie A? That happened was Sempdo.
It hasn't happened forever.
Yeah.
So how many of the last Scudettos were won between Inter and Juventus? All of them.
Yeah. No, Milan won.
So maybe the last time we won, but when we won, we had Maradona. So even we were still technically a good club, but I can't even think of what that would be the equal, being Udinese winning this year or something like that. I don't even know.
Right. Exactly. It's so hard. You have to set realistic expectations for yourself if you're a middling club like a Sassuolo, like a Sampdoria, like a Torino. Like these are teams that want to stay up in Serie A, and don't want to drop down to the next level, but they want to be competitive still. So
they want the
and
class
these are also
of being in Serie A.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was what's next? Let's
Also,
fire away.
Also, the really short answer to my long question was the best transfer signing was Dumfries, and I don't think it's close.
Really?
Yes, I think that's when I saw that I was actually annoyed. And I think that's a perfect fit. I think I was so impressed with him at the Euros that
He was very good at the Euros.
Yeah.
I did not realize how fast he was, to be honest.
I know, same.
But honestly, seriously, it's by default because Juventus hasn't made a move. Once they sign Locatelli, I think it's going to be Locatelli because I think
or if we signed Emerson or a left back, it would be up there. But any left back, anyone with a pulse, really. That's not a Portuguese mechanic named Mario Rui.
All right, what next?
Which team is probably going to be your biggest surprise team for this season? So I guess your sleeper of this series.
Tom, you go. I went first last time. I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I have two. All right, one is a top 4 and one is a top 10 in the league.
Okay, we'll get to the top 4 later.
Well, no, just a pick. I think that Sassuolo is going to finish top 4 in the league this year.
Wow.
And I think
their odds are not good right now.
I think Venezia is going to finish top 10 in the table.
Wow.
Well, they have great jerseys, so they should finish top 10.
I love the moves that Venezia has made. I mean, granted, they brought in Gianluca Busio, and they brought in a bunch of Americans. Their team is basically Americans wearing.
Tell them about Gianluca Busio because they don't know that he's American.
Gianluca Busio is a Italian American player who I believe is from Texas, and his father's Italian citizenship. His mother is African American. He was tearing it up in the MLS, and he's going back home. He was signed, transferred over to Venezia this year.
Wow.
They signed 2 Americans. They actually signed 2 Americans.
And the Taylor
yes,
Twellman.
So they have a couple of American kids on their team. You're right. They have. I don't. That's bold. That's bold because they just got promoted.
I know.
Bold. That's a hot take. This makes my surprise team boring. It does. It's just so boring. I think Roma is going to bounce back this year, and I think they're going to be really good. And it's one man and one man only, and it's the special one. And I'm going to show you. Look. For those of you who don't know, Tom knows, that's Jose Mourinho, the special one, riding in on a Vespa to practice. And I absolutely love that video. Jose Mourinho just makes your team better. He didn't do it at Tottenham because Tottenham is a joke of a team.
Yeah. No one's
that's whatever. I like bringing in Abraham from Chelsea. I think that's such a great move. Also, Matthias Vina, who's a very underrated defender. I think he's 19, 20 years old, but the kid has just got great skill for somebody his age. He's center back. I like what they're doing. And, Nicola Zaniolo, who's 20, 21 years old, great attacking player. They got a lot of talent there, and I think he's back, but he's going to be back by second month of the season, I think, because he almost made it back to the Euros, but they weren't going to hold back up. So we should be ready pretty close to the second month of the season. So I really like that team just on paper. Brian Reynolds is another American that they have, and I just think Mourinho gets the most out of his guys.
Also, I would assume that they'll get Pellegrini back sometime before the end of the season. So, I listen. I hate Roma. I hate them with a burning passion, and we beat them last year 8-0, and it was fantastic. But I don't disagree with that. And the top 4 is going to be so competitive. It's going to come down to the final week of the season. There's like 7 teams who legitimately have a chance to finish anywhere 1 through 4.
So then that kind of moves on to my next question. Then who's going to finish top 4? And then who's going to win it all at the end?
All right.
Go ahead, Tom.
That Jordan and I are going to homer it for our own lists. All right. So 4, I have it be. I'll just go from 4 to 1. I'll have it being Lazio, Inter, AC, Napoli.
Oh,
that kind of seems like a little selfish there, huh, Tom?
Listen. Can I make my case, please?
Okay, go ahead. Order in order.
Okay. Do you guys remember the Sean McVay-led Rams offense that year where, like, Jared Goff was actually good?
Yes.
Okay. And you think, like, oh, my God, they were scoring at will. Boom, Jared Goff hitting Cooper Kupp. Boom, Jared Goff hitting Bobby Trees. Boom, Todd Gurley's running for 1,000 yards a game. Boom. We are going to break the record for most goals scored in a Serie A season. We're going to score 4 a game. Victor Osimhen is going to lead the league in goals scored. All right, Insigne is going to monster season. He's going to win Serie A MVP. He's going
to have a monster season, all right. It's just be for your team.
Rush, we have the best defender on the planet. Alex Meret is going to take the step to become the best goaltender in Serie A. We have the Fabian Ruiz and Peter Zielinski in midfield as maybe one of the best midfield duos in the league. We are taking this league by storm, and no one's going to be able to keep up with as many goals as we're going to score.
All right.
Wow.
Anyways,
emphatic.
back to the. I will tell you what it actually will be, and it's not going to surprise anybody. I'm going to go 4-1, just like Tom did. I have Atalanta 4th. I have AC Milan 3rd. I have Juventus 2nd. There's only one team that's going to be better than Juventus this year, and it's going to be Inter Milan.
Jeez, both of you guys.
Listen, my case is more. We have the best midfielder in the league by far, and it's not even close. We did lose the best striker in the league, arguably, with Ronaldo. I still think it's Lukaku, but hey, you still have Lautaro Martinez there, 23-year-old striker who's going to take the reins there. You bring in Zapata, you bring in Correa, or you bring in Insigne. If you bring in one of those guys, arguably one of the best strike tandems in the league. You have Barella, Zalhanoglu in the midfield with Brozovic, Sensi if he stays healthy, which is a big F. You have the best defense in the league. You have De Vrij, you have Skriniar, and you have Bastoni in the back 3. Your only question is your 37-year-old, 38-year-old goalie who's not at he's obviously way past his prime. That's your only question mark. Everything else comes back to the coaching, who I have faith in him now. Obviously, I was a big Antonio Conte fan, one of my favorite coaches ever. I support him wherever he goes, no matter where. Inzaghi's got big shoes to fill. The only thing that scares me is ownership and what they'll do, because they lied to the fans, they lied to the players about they weren't going to sell. They said, hey, we're going to sell. We have to sell one big player. They sold Hakimi, and then obviously the Lukaku thing kind of came out of nowhere, and they sold Lukaku. But there's just Juventus just doesn't scare me anymore. They don't. Ronaldo's getting older by each year. Dybala's okay. Allegri's back, so Pirlo was a terrible coach. I love Pirlo to death. I don't like to say no ill word about Andrea Pirlo, but he was not a great coach. Inter took advantage of that, and they won the league. But what has Juventus done besides maybe sign Locatelli?
And I'm even going on the assumption that they're not even signing Locatelli, because I don't have any faith that deal gets done. And I agree with you that I'm not afraid of Juventus. That's why as I realized, I don't even have them in top 4. I think this year Juventus crumbles. The weight of having to play next to Cristiano Ronaldo, just Toronto Maple Leafs this team, and they just completely miss out.
I'm all for Maple Leaf slander, so that's great.
So we talk so much about Ronaldo. Obviously, he won a lot of MVPs. lately.
Yeah.
Who do you have for winning the MVP this year? Best young player and the best striker for this year.
You want me to go first, Tom, or?
Yeah, please. No, please go first.
And if you need to wait, I'll let you guys know again.
Ridiculousness. That is Barella. Blah, 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 blah.
So I talked a lot of shit about Juventus and Cristiano Ronaldo, but I said Ronaldo just wins the MVP every year. So I'm just gonna go. Ronaldo's gonna win the MVP again. Best young player. I have two of them, but it's only because one of them might get sold, and if one of them is sold, then
don't tell me we have the same best young player.
Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina, and then who might get sold? Like Fiorentina's talking about, maybe selling him to Atletico Madrid, something like that. So if he does get sold, Mikael Damsgaard, Sampdoria, who took over. If you watch the Denmark at the Euros, was really, really good. Like, he was arguably their best player, especially after Christian Eriksen had collapsed, and they kind of put him in there, and he was really, really good. So that's my best young player. And what was the other one, Tom?
Best striker.
Or striker.
I mean, it's going to be Lautaro Martinez. It's just a matter of who he plays against. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you who I put at best midfielder, too. It's going to be Nicola Barella. Right. Because you just watched the Euros this year. With him, Jorginho, Verratti dominated. And Barella was on pace with both of those guys, who are two of the best in the world. And he's just getting better. He's a pure Italian midfielder. If you can see right now, I'm talking with my hands now about this. But he's just so freaking good. He's so good technically on the ball. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He can shoot the ball. He's great defending. He's just so freaking good at everything. Best defender is Stefan de Vrij. Because he doesn't miss on tackles.
And people call me a homer.
Listen, we won the league last year. How am I going? This team is just too freaking good. What do you want me to say? He's a wall back there with Skriniar and Bastoni. So yeah, I don't know. I think de Vrij is. It was between de Vrij and De Ligt. I'll be honest. It was between de Vrij and De Ligt. But I went with de Vrij because I hate Juventus, and I wasn't going to give De Ligt, the benefit of the doubt. That's my best defender.
All right. I don't want to admit that Jordan and I kind of shared a brain on this, because for best striker, I also have Lautaro. Just narrowly edging out Osimhen. For best young player, I was thinking Vlahovic, but then I was like, he might get sold, so I went Damsgaard.
Yeah.
For MVP of Serie A, no surprise, the captain of Lorenzo Insigne.
Listen. I even went with the Juventus player for MVP. Like, I'm not the biased one here, I don't think.
Okay, listen. So then I get to best midfielder, right? And I'm like, no way I could put two Inter players and float Jordan Zigo up. So I did not go Barella for best midfielder. I went 21 Savage, Milinkovic Savic as best midfielder.
I did. You know what? That was another. He was like, I had him down at first. I did. I had him down first, and then I went Barella because I love Barella. He's my favorite player. But go ahead.
I would have went too. I just didn't want to have two Inter players on this list, and I love Lautaro. Honestly, as much as it pains me, I do love him as a player, but I had to put him on. And best defender, is there any doubt that it's Kalidou Koulibaly?
You can't go wrong there. I won't disagree.
Goaltender, and I put Szczesny because I could not think of another good goaltender in the Serie A that deserved the award.
I'll tell you who I put for a goalie. I put Juan Musso.
Okay.
And the only reason I did that was because we talked about it before. Atalanta is just so good at developing players. I just think he's going to be so good. He was so good at Udinese last year. He really, for a smaller club and for as many shots he was peppered with. I watched him against Inter, and he shot, I believe they drew 0-0. It was all because of him. Yeah. He was a really good, big goalie, can get down quick, everything. I just think there's something about playing for Atalanta that just makes these guys better. So, I picked Juan Musso for best goalie.
That's a solid pick.
I think it's time to pick, maybe, or announce.
I think
teams.
so.
So for me, I had one of my cousins I used to play soccer with. We traveled on a Coliseum team. Him and his brother. They actually played overseas and stuff. They were really good. I mean, I was okay. We've been talking about soccer since I've obviously gotten back into it. And he's an AC Milan fan, so he was trying to get me to pick AC Milan and all this stuff. So it was funny when Jordan was talking about how their fans were, because when I told him the team that I was leaning towards, he was like, "No, you can't do that," and all this. So as I mentioned earlier, I was leaning towards Juventus because I knew Ronaldo, but I think based on reading on the history, talking to Jordan a little bit. As well as absolutely loving the kits, it was an easy decision for me to go with Inter Milan. That is where my allegiance will reside. I have ordered 2 kits. I've ordered that one as well as the new one. So I am all in. I am looking forward to this. I am looking forward to stealing your captain, Tom. Just because it would make it fun to talk trash.
Go take a long walk off a short pier.
But no, I'm one of the main reasons I did that as well too, is to kind of lean on Jordan, as well as getting into the sport. We talk soccer all the time now because I'm into it, but to be able to not do this alone, if you will. So it's not kind of like a latching on thing, because I did do the research, but it will make it an easier transition for me. So yeah, that's my allegiance, and I'm thrilled. So I'm taking my talents to Inter Milan.
Just want to say, Paulie, listen, you're going to hear something that's called Pazza Inter, which means crazy Inter. You're going to hear that a lot because all of your teams that you root for, because we root for pretty much the same teams, there's always something crazy that happens with this team. So just be prepared. You think
so I'm ready.
You're used to it. Yeah, you're used to it. So just be prepared, because this stuff happens all the time with this team.
Congratulations, Paul. You just got the baseball and you're rooting for the Dodgers.
Well, Jordan knew who I was picking before this. So I was picking Inter, and then they transferred Lukaku to Chelsea. So I guess I'm already ready for the crazy stuff, because
Paulie, listen, you think that's crazy. You have no idea.
Hey, it's
Tom knows.
It's the first thing that I've been a part of, basically. So, but yeah, that is my allegiance, Tom. I'm sorry. But that's where I go.
Tom just didn't do a good job. Tom didn't do a good enough job convincing you. What can I say?
I don't have any convincing. We don't have new kits, and we don't have new players.
And you were talking to me about rankings the other day, and I wasn't high enough, so that was on you, man.
That was on me. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Just to give Kyle, Paulie, and Tom, 7% Tom, a little background. This stuff is serious. I've been following it for a long time. My dad got me involved with it. Obviously, my dad is 100% Italian. He got me involved in watching this stuff. It's not just I don't want to say American sports aren't diehard, but just compared to European, just not just Italy either, European diehard soccer fans, everywhere across the globe, they're passionate. They bleed these colors for their teams. They live and die by every move they make and everything. And they're passionate. These guys love their team. I remember my dad telling me growing up, when teams lost, if your team lost, it was like a funeral the next day. And it's not like the Jets where, hey, they lose it, it's whatever. These guys care about this team. They really do. And even the smaller clubs too. It's not just the bigger ones like AC Milan, Inter, these bigger teams, Juventus and all that. Even the smaller clubs, these guys are passionate. I mean, you look at the stadiums these guys play at that fill maybe 20, 30,000. Every single game is filled. It's not like going to a Mets game in the middle of June who are playing the Pirates. Every single stadium is filled every single time. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Doesn't matter what league they're in. They're always filled. And that's what's so much fun about it is you can go and watch, even if I'm an Inter fan, I can go and watch Sampdoria play Torino just because I know how big or how passionate the fans are and how crazy and how loud it's going to be, and how much fun it is going to be to watch the game because the fans just get so involved with it. It's just so much fun. Like, soccer in general is just so much fun to watch, especially the European soccer, all the leagues and stuff like that. Even the Premier League started this week, and that was so much fun to start watching and everything. But yeah, it's such a blast. You just start watching it, and you're going to get involved in it. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh. You're going to scream. But it's just so much fun to watch.
I'm excited.
I couldn't agree more.
Kyle, you've heard all of our persuasiveness. Are you going to watch Serie A? And if so, what team are you going to pick?
I will be watching Serie A when does it start?
Next week.
Saturday.
All right, so
next Saturday.
I'm all in. I'm fired up. You guys got me in. I'm going to be watching Juventus. That's right.
Boy.
I'm going with the Patriots of the Serie A because I am fucking tired of watching people lose. It's time to win, and I'm going to watch somebody win. I want to get on this train. I want to get on this train now, and I'm gonna stay aboard because my God, I have picked so many shitty teams over my life. I'm over it. And their kits are fire.
Honestly, I wish I could hate the decision making, but from a person who has never seen a winner ever, I respect it.
That's it. I knew you guys would understand because we've all watched the Jets. I know you guys are Mets fans. Like we all get it, right? It sucks. I'm tired of losing. I'm watching a winner. That's all I had to say on that. And again, the kits are fire.
I mean, I'm not happy about it.
I'm not happy with it, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I respect it. Kyle, I wish you nothing but pain and misery going forward, though. No hard feelings.
Can I just throw out an idea here for all of us to root for a common team of Serie C, and we all root for Avellino because that's where Tony Soprano's family's from?
I like it.
I mean, that's the only reason. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fine.
Where's the gobble?
What are their colors? I'm curious.
Green and white.
Oh, okay.
I can get behind that.
What is their logo? Do they have a logo?
It's probably a jet plane.
It's a wolf.
Oh, all right. I'm in.
Yeah, because their nickname are the Lupi, so the wolves in Italian.
Oh, yeah. Big fire. I like it. I'm in.
And come on, we're basically rooting for the Soprano family in this. So we can all band together for our love and just put it together, and let's hope we see them do something this year.
I am in for that. Absolutely.
7% Tom. Have we bored you, or are you commit?
Wow.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, are you going to pick a team?
I'm not much of a soccer fan. I used to play soccer as a kid. It's just I love hockey. That's what I love. Obviously, Tom could possibly persuade me to watch a game with him here and there, but I'm not going to pick a team. Damn. I want to experience. If I'm going to sit here and watch, I want to experience it without rooting for someone.
7% just wants vibes.
I just want the vibes. Yes.
No stress, just vibes.
Just vibes.
He's going to be the one who makes sure we don't kill each other.
Yes.
Yeah, Tom's the referee.
I'm in the middle, so I'll protect everyone.
But even just watching the games like that, seriously, it's so much fun. And obviously, you have none of the stress of caring about who wins or loses. But just watching the games itself is fun too. You get involved with it. I mean, Paulie was the same. Paulie started watching the games, so he started watching the Euros and stuff like that. So hey, maybe down the road you're going to be a big soccer fan. Who knows?
Well, everybody was stunned yesterday morning when I was up at 8:30 and I was texting people about the Premier League, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Paulie's up at 8:00 watching Premier League soccer," and I was like,
"Yeah." So
I enjoy it.
When I saw your tweet about Rudiger, I was like, "There's no way he's watching Chelsea right now." I was so confused.
Yeah, no. So what happened in the group chat is they got me into the Euros and I had a blast. So then
I got you into the Euros, but we won't get into that.
Jordan got me into Euros, but then in the group chat, everybody's like, "Oh, well, you got to keep watching. You got to watch." And 4 or 5 people in our group chat are Chelsea fans. So they were like, "Oh, well, you should watch the Premier League. It's starting, but you got to pick a team." And I was like, I don't want to be a front runner, but everybody talks about Chelsea, and they've got Pulisic, and they've got Jorginho, so that obviously they're players I'm familiar with, and then obviously they got Lukaku too, so it's it just made sense. So I watched a full day of Premier League soccer until I went out yesterday, and I had a blast. Obviously, there are some players that you see that you are familiar with, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I'm looking forward to just continuing this, obviously with Serie A, and then once the Champions League starts. So I would always watch the World Cup and things like that. And if an MLS game was on here and there, I would tune that in. But obviously, that's much different. I mean, it's not this.
I can't watch MLS. I just can't.
So yeah. So this is just. I mean, it's exhilarating, and like we said, even if it's teams that I like, and obviously I have to build up my Chelsea and my Inter, interest. Yes, I'm watching it, but I have to get attached to player things like that. But even when I was watching games yesterday, which had meant nothing to me, I was still enjoying myself. You know what I mean? And then I watched the Barca game today, and they were up. They were up 2-0. And they were playing well. And then I went upstairs and put the steaks on the grill. Next thing you know, it was 3-2, and I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah. So I'm just, if it's on, I'm watching it at this point. If I'm home, I'm tuning in no matter what the game is.
I love it.
Great attitude. Love it.